The Iron Throne may be no more. Spoiler, sweetie. But a year after the conclusion of the iconic HBO show, we're heading back to Westeros. The great pop culture debate wants to know, who is the best Game of Thrones character? Grab your Valyrian steel and prepare for winter, because trust me when I tell you, these brackets are dark and full of terrors, honey. I'm your host, Eric Resniak, a Varys in the streets and a Podrick in the sheets. Joining me today are my panelists, modern-day Queen of Thorns, Curtis Creekmore.
Tell Melania I want her to know it was me.
The 14th person on Arya's hit list, Derek Makita.
All I wanted to do was give her a hot pie.
And he regretted bringing the potato salad to the ill-fated Stannis Baratheon family barbecue. Give it up, Michael Schwartz.
By the old gods and the news, I will be avenged.
Well played, sir. Before we dive into the debate, let's go over how this works. We made a list of every featured character from Game of Thrones, from Ned Stark to Hot Pie. We had 75 people take the survey to pick their favorites. We did not differentiate between the show and the books, and the top 32 vote-getters were ranked by popularity, added to a bracket, and our panelists made their decisions. Now we argue about it and insult each other, all for your amusement. Want to follow along at home? You can find all of these brackets, including the one for this episode, at greatpopculturedebate.com. And as I alluded to in the beginning, there will be many, many spoilers discussed here. So if you don't want to know what happens in the show or in the books that are released up through early 2020, you should probably hap on your dragon and head back to Valyria now. In a first for the Great Pop Culture Debate, our panelists had total consensus on more than half of the round one battles. The unanimous victors for round one included number 1 seed Arya Stark, who brutally dispatched 8 seed Peter Littlefinger Baelish, just as she did in the show. Number 2 seed Sandor the Hound Clegane, who made 7 seed Pirate Queen Yara/Asha Greyjoy walk the plank. 1 seed Tyrion Lannister, who committed patricide once again against crusty 8 seed Tywin Lannister. 5 seed Cersei Lannister, who scored a minor upset by outmaneuvering beefy 4 seed Tormund Giantsbane. 3 seed Podrick Payne put Direwolf Ghost out in the backyard, and I just want to point out that a dog somehow got a 6 seed in this bracket, which is insane to me, given the number of characters that didn't even make it.
My wig is on fire. It is on fire.
Wig? Is it a season 1 Daenerys wig? Is it that cheap?
Oh, no. Well, maybe. I mean, that absolutely would have gone up in flames.
Exactly. 2 seed Davos Seaworth's Anya Knight brought Catelyn Stark's stone heart to tears.
Oh.
Queen Sansa Stark, a 1 seed, again proved more long-lasting than her hunky brother, 8 seed Robb Stark. That bastard Jon Snow booted my imaginary boyfriend Khal Drogo right back to Vaestal Thrak. 1 seed Brienne of Tarth's long reach again emasculated poor 8 seed Theon Greyjoy. 4 seed Varys and his spies outsmarted flame-haired Ygritte. And 2 seed Olenna Tyrell and her acid tongue read poor Oberyn Red Viper Martell to filth. So now we get to the debates. 3/4 of us had pint-side powerhouse Lyanna Mormont advancing over 4 seed Gendry. Michael, you pushed for Gendry. Why?
Well, we're going to start with the real basic. Oh my God, please. He's so freaking hot.
Nah.
No, the guy that they had him play in the show, I just like hot to begin with. And when I actually sat down and did this, it's like, I kind of got the sense that most of you guys would end up going for Lyanna. And I recognize that little pint size, ruling over Bear Island like that is amazing. So I wanted to make sure that Gendry got at least a little bit of screen time here before we go. He's at the end of the show, again, we all know that he is literally the only living Baratheon left that could have a claim to the throne. He gets his redemption story, Warden of the South, getting Storm's End. You miss him in the whole middle of the show, but I think that he just, as the one bastard that lives out of all of this, and this story arc of him following Arya out of King's Landing to the Wall, not quite, and back, the Brotherhood without banners, there's just so much that happens to him that he definitely deserves a place for at least part of the conversation.
And he's got to be the Westerosi rowing champion of whatever the hell year that is. He was rowing for like 3 years straight.
Yes.
Row, motherfucker. All right, Derek, talk about why you preferred Lyanna.
I mean, where do I even begin? To quote Jonathan Van Ness, she's just totally feroce.
She is.
Yeah, she's savage. She is completely wise beyond her years. She is clearly a fan favorite, which I suspect is why she, is beating out Gendry in this bracket. But, she's the leader of Bear Island. How could I not vote for her?
Curtis, did you want to have something to say there?
That was it.
That she's the leader of Bear Island?
The Bears have it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that at Bear Week in P-Town, there should be Lyanna Mormont out at the pool, at Bear Soup, like just standing up and reading everyone to filth. I personally, I'd pay someone to see that.
Mhm.
So that said, does anyone else have anything else they want to say in favor of Gendry, or are we still sticking to our 3-1 votes?
I know I'm the only one that likes him, so it's okay. Let's move on with Lyanna.
All right. Gendry's out. Lyanna moves forward. We were even split on 3-seed Jaime Lannister versus 6-seed Marjorie Tyrell. On the one hand, Curtis, please speak on behalf of should-have-been contender Marjorie. On the other hand, oh, wait, it's Jaime. There is no other hand. But I'll take that in a second. You first, Curtis.
Marjorie Tyrell is a gay icon. She was
Yeah.
the perfect beard. She didn't care that her soon-to-be husband was a pole smoker. No, all she cared about was getting that crown, bitch. Even when she died, that was the gag of the season. Like, Cersei didn't win that. She was the one that went down. That was when the show was really good, and I miss those days.
Mhm.
I think what really puts her over the top, and why I chose her over Jaime Lannister, was the way that the writers just absolutely butchered the massive amounts of character building that they had done over 7 seasons in just one fell swoop. You cannot give a character a redemption arc like the one that they built out for Jaime, only to go and pull the rug out from under the audience and then give him just complete degradation all the way back down to the basement. Marjorie was a beautiful, flawed, but fully realized character who was honestly lucky enough to die before Benioff and Weiss got to her.
Oof. Oh,
Wow.
that is a read. So first of all, let me say I absolutely adore Marjorie, and she's in the book. She's still alive at this point. I'm curious to see what happens with her, but I think she's awesome. Everything you said about her is 100% true. She is life. I don't even think she has flaws. Honestly, I think she plays the game beautifully. She just gets taken out by something she never could have foreseen coming, and that's a huge bummer. Regarding Jaime, this is going to be one of those things where I'm going to be in the minority here, but I'm fine with it. Your point for kind of dismissing, or not even dismissing, but it's more setting aside Jaime's incredible character development arc is that they abandon it at the 9th inning. That's a thing, right? That's a sports thing.
Sports ball.
Good, Aaron.
Yes, you're good.
I did it. I actually think it is so brave of a storyteller to not go with the expected ending. And I think it is so intrinsically Game of Thrones to be, you expect him to do the right thing and to stay with Brienne and to live happily ever after. But no, he cannot stay away from that sister pussy. He needs it. He is whipped and he goes back to her. I live. Like, that is really bold storytelling. And you don't see that anywhere else. Like, the bad guy wins again. And I love it. You would think in living in America in 2020, I would be over the bad guy winning, but it was still thrilling at that time. So to me, Jaime has this incredible arc, and he goes from kicking children out of windows and banging his sister to redeeming himself and showing humanity and becoming a more stereotypical hero, to then ending up, as you pointed out, in the basement, literally dying with his sister lover because he cannot quit her. Amazing.
And I to just jump in there, I think I agree with you 100%, but I don't think it's as surprising as everybody really thinks it is in the end. I've been rewatching the series again just for fun and in prep of this, but, in season 3, where he basically rapes Ciri in the Sept while Joffrey's dead body is sitting there. That is like just the key that says that he is never going to give up on Cersei. He are never going to lose that relationship that the two of them have. No matter how much he changes and everything else, Cersei is still the core of his being. They are twins. They came into this world together. They had to go out of the world together.
I mean, who among us has not been turned on at a funeral with our dead son in the coffin next to us? And like, you just got to go for it, right?
Absolutely.
Total. Yeah. All right. We're going to take a poll. All those in favor of Jaime, say aye. That's me. Aye.
Michael, I.
Okay, anyone else? Y'all sticking with Marjorie?
I gotta stay with my girl.
Sticking with her.
All right. Well, by the rules of Westeros, aka this podcast,
Fucking bullshit
pick
rules.
yeah. Well, welcome to the Game of Thrones, Hooker. Jamie advances. 3 out of 4 of us lost our heads and our hearts to dumb, honorable Ned Stark. But Curtis, you wanted to hold the door for Hodor. Why?
For better or worse, Hodor is the reason that Bran became king. He did the one thing that he probably could and needed to do, which was to hold the door against what is the zombie apocalypse that is happening outside right now, and saved the lives of both of his friends. The twist that we found out from that episode where Hodor got his name is hands down, I think, one of the greatest storylines in this entire series. That was the spark and the magic that this show had and should have had through the finale that just kind of fizzled. You created this all-knowing character in Bran and show him how fooling around with his power can have catastrophic results. Hodor gives us one of the only instances of male frontal nudity that I know of on a major television show, and he is, from what I can tell, #blessed.
Yeah.
Was Ned the impetus for a spike in doorstop sales? No. Sean Bean can't stay alive long enough to have any lasting impact on any property that he's been in, from my understanding.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'm going to have Michael be your counterpoint there. Michael, talk about Ned.
Okay, so Curtis, there's one thing that I have to say about your entire argument. That's Hodor. Okay, that joke just went over completely bad. Never mind.
I don't think I got it.
That's bullshit.
Mm.
Okay, anyhow.
Mm.
But if you want to talk about like an underpinning of a major plot point of the entire show, you can't move any farther than thinking about Ned Stark. Okay? He like his death and his actions in season 1 are what propels literally the next 7 seasons that move along. If Ned Stark had never died, if Ned Stark had gone on and, figured out something, you never would have had any of the other action that happens in the rest of it. He becomes such an underlying component of it. You can't say Winterfell, you can't say Stark, you can't say a lot of other things that go on with the show without hearkening back to Ned and that foundation that he lays for so much that goes on.
Curtis, you wanted to rebuttal?
This is not RuPaul's Best Friends race. This is not which is the most important character. It is which is the best character. And that's I completely agree with you. Without Ned, you have no show. He was the linchpin. He was what held everything together. And then when he came out, everything blew up. But to me, I think the fact that we were able to see Hodor develop as a character, we got that story, he pushed it further and brought us what should have been a really fucking cool part of the show with Bran coming into his the three-eyed raven, that's what it was called, powers. I'm not backing down.
But here's the thing. I don't think that Hodor did have any character development. Hodor had a story moment in which the whole character swung. But in the warm-up show, we were talking about how Robb Stark was a plot device, not a character. I would argue that is true for both of these contestants.
100%.
Both Hodor and Ned are plot devices, not characters. And as much as Curtis is arguing that if you didn't have Hodor and the hold the door moment, you wouldn't have any of the ending of the show, which is true. It's not even Ned dying in the first season. If you didn't have Ned decades before,
right,
go and rescue his sister, raise Jon as his bastard son, numerous other hugely important impacts to the story, none of it works. None of it works.
He's the linchpin. He's 100% the linchpin. Absolutely.
I will argue with you that Ned is a one-dimensional character. And again, much like Robb, the straight, white, powerful man was never going to make it out of this story alive or have anything good happen to him.
Good.
But Ned has an actual character. Ned impacts all of his children profoundly, including Jon. And Sansa doesn't do what Ned tells her to do, and she pays for that for 7 fucking seasons.
Yeah.
Arya tries to do what Ned tells her to do, and she suffers for that for 3 or 4. Robb dies horribly. Jon tries, does die, comes back from the dead. I can't talk about Bran and Rickon because, like, I can't. Like, literally, I can't. But for me, I appreciate what you're saying. If this was best Game of Thrones storylines, I would put Hodor in my top 4 because Hodor is a killer storyline. As a character, there's nothing there. He's a big dude and he's lugging around poor Bran, but he saves him when he needed to, but that's about it for me.
Yeah.
We're going to put it to a vote. All those in favor of Hodor?
Aye.
All those in favor of Ned Stark?
Aye.
It's Three-Eyed Raven time. Okay, sorry. That was a bad joke.
It was.
Moving on, in the battle between 3-seed Samwell Tarly and 6-seed Jorah Mormont, I am the sole person who wants to see Ser Jorah advance. Derek, what did you find so compelling about Sam?
I think it's because he has a distinct upward arc in the show. And, you know, once he gets it in his mind that he wants to become a maester, he doesn't let the protocol stand in his way. You know, he's, you know, fiercely loyal to, you know, the people who have supported him, but he's also incredibly resourceful on his own. And, you know, I'll be quite frank, Jorah would not be there were it not for Samwell Tarly.
Explain that.
I mean...
Oh, you mean at the end? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, he saves his life. Right.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yes.
I don't disagree with any of that, frankly. It's funny because when I was filling out this poll, I was like, ugh, Sam is a 3-seed. Are you kidding me? But here's the thing. I never like Sam in the show as much as I like Sam in the book. And that is no fault of the actor. I think the actor does a good job. I just feel Sam in the book is conveyed better. His intelligence and his wit and his resourcefulness, which is a great way to put it, comes through much more cleanly in the books. In the show, he just kind of comes, it's like I'm expecting the honking bassoons of idiocy to be following him in all of his scenes, especially early on.
It's true, but you know what? That's what makes him relatable. You know, is that he's a character that does get shit on over and over again by his family, by the maesters, you know, but in the end, he emerges as, you know, a key factor in saving everything.
He does, and he is 100% hashtag relatable. I also, however, want to argue for Jorah, and by the way, I'm fine with him getting X'd out, but I want to argue for Jorah for a second. Talk about hashtag relatable. We have your friend zone international champion of whatever years this is happening, Ser Jorah Mormont. He's actually got a really cool story when you look at it from all of the kind of connections he has. He was, like, again, the prized son of a prized house who ended up getting kicked out because of slavery to impress his gold digger wife. He gets sent into exile. He ends up becoming initially a traitor to Daenerys. He ends up completely falling for her and going all in, saving her life on numerous occasions, including leading to himself almost dying. And then if we didn't have him doing what he did, you wouldn't have his father, Jeor, at the wall running the Night's Watch. You wouldn't have Lyanna then running Bear Island and rallying all those people. He actually has these really cool ramifications for his story that at first you're not seeing. You're just like the sad, good warrior who's in love with this woman who is never going to love him back, which is kind of a sad story, but he's kind of a pivotal character in ways that you don't see on the surface. That said, I understand why you're advancing Sam. So I am fine. I will stick to my dissenting opinion, but the other 3 of you are going to stick with Sam?
Yes.
All right.
You know what? It was a difficult decision when I was picking this particular bracket because the two of them are fairly evenly weighted in my opinion, but I think that well, maybe not that evenly weighted. But I think just there's something about Sam's character, the way that it plays out in the show, that just it's more, I don't know, relevant, urgent,
satisfying.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and advance Sam. Finally, 3 out of 4 of us advanced surprising 6 seed Daenerys Targaryen over even more surprising 3 seed Bronn. Michael, why Bronn?
Now, I'm going to go with you here and admit that I love Bronn, but a 3rd seed like shocked the hell out of me that he made it so high. I think that in the end, it's Daenerys is, to me, very one note. Okay, you have the character development from her marrying Khal Drogo and her becoming Mother of Dragons, but when she becomes the Mother of Dragons, it's pretty much just like, to me, a one note all the way through until she gets to Westeros, and then the dramatic season 8 spiral to madness that happened is the next time you see any true character development from my perspective. And I know I'm going to get shouted down in a minute about saying that. Bronn, on the other hand, I think there's a lot that changes over the course of the series with him. I just like him, his attitude, the way he interacts with Tyrion and everything, that he becomes more human, and there's a lot more change that I see in him over the course of it, and I just liked him better. When this is all said and done, I'm going to be very comfortable with moving Daenerys along, but I think Bronn, to me, was the better option.
All right, Curtis, why don't you take a knee for Dany?
Daenerys Targaryen, number 6th in voting. I could not believe it.
Well, guess what, Curtis? They did.
All the straight people don't understand that. Okay, I think we can all agree that the end of the series was blood-boilingly bad for a couple different reasons. And for me, a large part of that is the way that the writers treated Dany's character. I've understood that Eric disagrees and really likes the way that it went, but he's wrong.
Yes.
But I'm weighing all of the stellar character development. I really do think that they did a good job of developing that character, and the solid acting that we got from Emilia Clarke in the first 7 seasons against that last one. And I think she deserved to be higher than a 6 seed. Her journey from battered sister to a burgeoning leader to the queen in her own right was just, I thought it was an amazing story to watch unfold. And you couldn't help but root for her because she was what everyone deserved. She was what everyone wanted. And sure, she was old blood that had already been removed from power, but she was able to prove through the years that she was a strong leader who deserved to rule over her people. God damn it, Hillary Clinton should be president. Oh, sorry. That's the wrong drama.
It's not, though. It's actually very much the same drama, but I think we will get into this in later rounds, but she was what everybody assumed was going to be the good guy and the hero at the end. And so I think if we did this poll at the end of season 7, Daenerys would have been a 1 seed.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think if we did this poll at the end of season 7, Cersei probably would have been maybe a 2 seed. Mm-hmm. And again, we're going to get to that later in the final episode, but I don't want to go too much into it because I'm going to put on my gloves and go fierce for Dany in round 2. But I think what we are seeing in this poll with the seeds is a lot of bias from people who are the high seeds went to people whose journeys ended the way people wanted / expected them to. And if something unexpected happened and it wasn't the way that they figured out was going to end that way, then people got pissed off and then suddenly they're, quote, not a good character or the showrunners ruined them. And I think that's really entitled bullshit. And I will go on record saying that. And you can come for me, but you better be ready for when you find me. So we are going to advance Daenerys. I will say on Michael's points with Bronn is a super entertaining character on that show. And he comes out of nowhere. Like Bronn was not someone who existed in the books, but God bless him. He really lightens up like those middle seasons quite a bit. And he's got great relationships, not just with Tyrion, although his relationship with Tyrion is great.
Right.
His relationship with Jaime is great. I think he even has some really solid moments with some other lead characters. He's a really fun kind of almost the viewer perspective in all of it, but a 3 seed for him is far too high, first of all. And him advancing over Daenerys, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
He looks like the leather-skinned daddy in every porn ever made.
I mean, You're kind of enticing me to flip my vote there, but I'm not going to do it. So we are advancing Daenerys to round 2, and that, folks, brings us to our Sweet 16. As a memo to George R.R. Martin, do you see how efficient things can be done when you don't spend hours and hours describing imaginary food in excruciating detail? Do you all agree with our round 1 picks? Do you think we pulled an Aerys Targaryen and gone full-on crazy pants? Let us know by joining the conversation at greatpopculturedebate.com. Then come back later this week for part 2, when Arya, Tyrion, Sansa, Cersei, and the other Thrones Titans enter the fray. And speaking of fray, don't be late, like Walter. We'll see you then.